welcome, Theo. It's a great pleasure to have you here. It's like I don't know. I remember it's like 10 years we don't see each other, but you seem to be as beautiful as always. Because I like your style, and you're very much in shape. And it's a pleasure to have you with me today, because I'm looking at a different perspective about this situation we're going through, and you are one of the most precious perspective I believe I can get to. So I'm very honored to have you here. But before getting into the conversation, could you please introduce yourself, and then I'll go into a couple of questions I have for you.
Yeah, thank you, Davide. It's yeah, I mean, what a heartfelt sort of space just to see you again. And yeah, you've changed a lot. You got grey, you got old, so but
yes.
yeah, so for the listeners, my name is Theo, and yeah, I live in South Africa, been in ministry full-time all my life. And yeah, I met Davide like it's longer than a decade, and we're fortunate to sit in some of his facilitation and classes, and was always phenomenally intrigued by him as such. And then and Davide, you actually made me love Italy. I mean, I just love Italy, the coffee, the wine, and the people, and in such a way that I've got two sons. So the one son is Milan, and the other one is Luca, and normally in South Africa, people, where did you get these names from? Is his granddad Luca or Milan? So we've got a soft spot for Italian people, and yeah, Davide, thinking of you a lot. All the memories lead back to you, staying with you.
Well, and you also have your party in Florence. I remember, even when you got married. So and I was there. I remember some of the pictures. Was incredible time. But anyway.
No.
Let me get into this, because I realized as you were talking that you are the first minister that I get to interview, and so I like this conversation also because I know you, and you're not very traditional even as a minister. So I think it would be very precious for me to see your perspective on what's going on, and what this situation has brought up, even in the context, because I don't think congregation can be together, so there must have been some transformation in the perception and how the connection goes, and what's going on. Kind of, I want to open it like that, and then we'll go.
Yeah, Davide, so my world consists of a theological world, and I think this is one of the biggest transformational theological breakdowns as well. It's not only economical or physical, because for the last 50 years, we got used to a world that's actually very unreal, and only science made us believe that we understand everything. And the second thing is that we can control everything, and that, I think that became part of our theological language as well. That if we believe the right stuff, if we live the right way, then, this is just going to be a wonderful, wonderful planet of God, But I mean, if you were born in the 1900s, that first 50 years would have been disastrous, with 2 world wars and one of the biggest pandemics that ever struck this world. 1 out of 5 people in Europe died. And if you could have survived that, so in a sense, our last years were very unreal, and I think we adapted a cultural view of God, a cultural view of humanity, and now that has been crumbled, But there has always been people in the church, but unfortunately we have put them on the side. We thought they were the weirdos, who actually always challenged the empire, you know, and that started to happen 400 years after Christ, you know, where people just felt that the church is weird. It's a power base. It's and we need to get out, and that's where the Desert Fathers actually originated from. And if you read those letters, it's people that feel very, very comfortable in the midst of chaos, in the midst of severe, severe circumstances where you actually have to trust every day of your life, you know, to survive. So, and I think what's happening now is that there's sort of a revival and a renewed interest in theology that had words all these years, how to navigate in dark times. And I mean, David, to be honest, just to think of it, what we actually did with the Bible is there are so many stuff that we can't cope or can't read or doesn't make sense. So we just threw that out, and our Bible became a small, slick, you know, few pages that, you know, is not really connected with pain and you know, with the real world. And I think what's happening now is that all those passages and part of theologies that we never embraced are sort of, people are returning and trying to figure out that what does that mean? You know, I remember now, David, I mean, you're a guitarist, and I know at one stage, you know, you were involved in the church as well. And I was always amazed of how happy the church culture in worship and stuff is. It's very selective, you know. But the problem is now, you know, with churches that are only singing and professing the all-powerful stuff and things are going to work out, things is not working out, and things aren't probably not going to work out. So what do we do now? You know, so and I honestly believe it's dishonest, you know. And there's a professor that I really admire. His name is Walter Brueggemann. So he's an Old Testament guy. So he says you don't need the New Testament. If you can understand the Old Testament, we're fine. You know, so he says it's so dangerous if you create a worship or a religious body that's always happy, you know, and always it's about victory and triumph, fatalism. If people get to join that, they know you're lying, and then you sort of, you know, you estrange them from that. You know, so I believe that we're moving into a time that maybe we're going to sing new stuff, we're going to talk about new stuff. And if you look at the Psalms, like half of the Psalms are people that are really mad, you know, and cross and broken. But they did that in poetry. I think we're going to see our Leonard Cohens emerge in church now, who's talking a language of real life and not a pie in the sky, you know. So that's on the church landscape.
One thing, let me interject here, because, you know, one thing I really share with you in this thought is that the church was looking for control to demonstrate the power of God. It's kind of coming to a standstill in front of a situation that is out of control, and that they have to rely on God to be able to live out of control. And I think this is really what I see as an interesting evolution of the spiritual life, because it's not only religiosity, but it's how we connect spiritually. Yeah? And to me, to hear that, you know, uncertainty and chaos are the place where one can get in touch with himself, get in touch with God, or, you know, with in a religious sense. You know, that to me, it's a new way of looking at what the religion is.
Yeah, David, that that is such a powerful thing that you're saying now. Now, I believe there's not something new. You know, everything has happened, you know, and there has always been ways of talking about severe, difficult times. You know, like just one story in the Bible about Israel who went into exile. Now, what happened there was the priests and the kings and the politicians were ripped away. You know, so but you know how the people felt. They felt, you let us down, you leaving us now. And you know what those leaders did? They only blamed. They blamed the pandemic, the epidemic. They blamed the circumstances, but they were of no help for the people. And Davide, it's exactly the same what's happening now. You know, the churches were powerhouses, but I find it severe difficult to help and to sustain their own people now in difficult times. Now that's the negative part. The positive part is the people are reclaiming back their own spirituality. You know, because I think the church was like a surrogate mother. I lived my life through the church, you know, the priest or the pastor gave it to me. It's like massification. It felt good in that group, but it's not my own, you know. So, and it's actually, if you read the history of Israel, their whole view and their practice and their spirituality drastically changed in that liminal space. You know, when they were out of their comfort, but they don't have a new place. In that place, their whole perception and spirituality were renewed. And I think that's what's happening. And I think what's happening, people will do it on their own now. You know, because the church is gone.
Yes.
You know. And like I had a meeting on Saturday, on Sunday afternoon with young kids that I'm facilitating. They are 13 years old. And I've asked them, so what is the most difficult thing for you now at this stage? All of them said, my friends. So the second question was, but how long do you talk to them? You know, because we live in a social media world, you know. So they said, no, a lot of times, but it doesn't work. You know, it's not real, you know. So, and that forces people, even, you know, we're listening to the best preachers now because it's all in the web, you know, and the strongest personality wins, you know, he gets the most followers, you know. But in a way, Davide, that can help, but I think what we're going to see is a big fall. And what I strongly believe, you are created in God's image. And if you need to seek a place for spirituality, it is within you, you know? And it's the only place that you can trust. If you can come to your own answers and not to the answers that were given to you, or even, you know, what we call like discipleship is more indoctrination to clone you so that you can believe as I am, you know. So that I think that's the big positive thing. There will be an explosion of a new spirituality, and it will be a very private spirituality, you know, of people finding their own way.
That would be that would be interesting. And somebody like me that has been out since 2005, so you know, I've been outside of religion, you know, the official religion, you know, I would be very interested to see how it evolves, because you know, to meet God in the uncertainty and chaos is definitely the place I think we can find him the most, and the other places we can find our version of our idol, you know. And I think, you know, it's very important to give up control to be able to meet God. And I don't know, people can call it different ways. I don't care. It's just a spiritual life that gets activated, and we are spiritual beings. There's no way out of that. Some of us would neglect that, but I think outside of religion, we are spiritual, and the spiritual life in moments like this, it gets to come out, and I hope that it's going to become even as a movement, as a is going to move something within a church that has been under control for many years. Let's put it that way. But now,
and David, just one thing that I want to mention,
sure.
that, so the question will then be, so is a church necessary? So, so why then a church? If you can map your own, my personal need is not so much for a church and to have a great experience or to listen to a great preacher, because there's too many great preachers now on the web. If the young people get to church, you are like, I am the biggest anticlimax I've ever seen, because they've watched the best. And I mean, I enjoy watching them. So the question will be, so what will be the need then? And my personal need, Davide, is to be part of a communal experience that help me to find my own authority and my own voice, or my own true self. So my definition of community is, how am I helping you to get to your true self, your deepest core, And it was Thomas Merton. He used this symbol or metaphor that's so nice. He said, your true self is like a small antelope in a bush. And when you go into the bush, you don't take a stick and hit the bush and say, where are you? No, don't do this. Then it's gone. And he said a lot of communities are like that. They go in with a stick, and it's the stick of advising people, fixing people, projecting upon people, telling people. So then, I just shut down, and I'll rather show you the part of me that's not me, just to be accepted, but a community that are honest to sort of help you to connect with that. Davide, to be honest, I've experienced it, and like our church has gone now, but the longing for people to be with one another, but not to be with one another to get Bible scriptures and talk about it. It's to be with one another because there was common ground. We know how it is to sort of get in touch with the deepest part, because everybody has a beauty to give, but when we get into groups, we judge. I mean, not we. I must talk about myself, I statesman. And I think that if a church can be a haven like that, it's the most redemptive place, and it actually helps you to get your own authority even stronger back, because I need people, Davide. I mean, I don't want to be in a place where I hear God, or because that's it's not biblical. I must be accountable. So I think the need for me for church will be that in the future.
That sounds very, very intriguing. I would listen to you for the whole day. And there's one thing that comes to mind for me is like personal responsibility and relationship. Those two words to me, I have to put them together. But I believe, we can be leaders of ourselves, and we can lead ourselves into a relationship which is healthy, where we go together somewhere, and each one contributes rather than one follows and one leads. But I don't know. I mean, this is just coming up as you talking, and I'm not going to go too deep into that. But because we covered a lot of stuff, and I think this has been a precious time and a precious video, and I hope to have you again with me for another conversation next time. But
it will be great. It was so lovely to see you again and talk to you again. Listen, just the last thing.
Yes.
You taught me to drink grappa, you know, but we've got terrible grappa in this country, you know, and I tried to make our communion wine grappa, but that didn't go up.
Didn't go too well. Oh, man. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And I'll see you next time, and I hope I can share more conversations like this with you. Thank you, Theo. Goodbye.
Great, Davide. Lovely day.